Hi! Happy Tuesday. Hopefully your week is starting out well in this summer month. Well, in the last summer month. And next month it'll be fall. But hopefully you had a decent Monday and Tuesday today. Or if you're in the future, you are having a decent Wednesday. I had a decent Tuesday. I didn't do much. I was basically riding. Hi Roderick. Hi Amy. Hi Stereo. I'm going back to Bird Academy like around the end of this month. I think so. I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting. I'm the end of this month. If I remember correctly. But how are you, Roderick, Miami, and Studio? Hope you're doing well. Are you here? Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here as well. 6 a.m.? Oh, you should get plenty of sleep then, shouldn't you? Doing fantastically normal? That sounds fantastically wonderful. So you're good? You're sorry. No, really. I'm not the queen. I am a king, a ruler. A queen is also a ruler. But king sounds more badass. Complete today. No, you should get some sleep. Empress is not also well because usually the Empress is below the Emperor. And the Empress cannot have a harem. And the only people who has a bit more power than an Emperor is the Empress Dowager, is the Emperor's mother. Because the Emperor's mother, she usually has more power in the court than the Emperor. So I either have one, I'd be the Emperor, or I can save a child who's a puppet so I can control the whole of it. Supreme Overlord? I don't want to be a skeleton. I don't know. I think every time I see the word Overlord, I keep thinking about the skeleton Overlord person. I don't think I'm ready to be a skeleton. Premiered on me. That sounds too ancient. He is cool, I loved it. Isn't there like a... Maybe it already came out. I thought there was a movie. Oh, that was a different anime. Yeah. I'm curious now. What happens in the other Blu-rays? Oh, the Blu-rays are coming out. Hi, Hugh. Yeah, the movie already dropped. I was wondering. But it's still interesting. I think I liked it. I think I started reading the manga. I think 2017 or 2018. Don't remember. And then I didn't really watch the anime. I only watched clips of it because sometimes if I read the manga, I don't like watching it of something I read. I don't know how to put it. Unless I really like it. Like, I like Kingdom. Top 3, I love Kingdom a lot. I will reread it and I will watch it multiple times. I will never get sick of it. And what do you call it? And the only time like I ever like watch something I read is when when I don't remember. And I don't remember much of the plot of what I read in the manga. Let me just watch the anime since they already gave me an anime of it. That way I can just sit back and watch it. Otherwise, I don't know. I try like watching things I read. I can't because I already know what's gonna happen. Like, what's the point? Kingdom anime? Why not? I like it. Kingdom, I love it. I think there's Kingdom, Vampire Knight. Oh, my mouth. Full. So I like it's Kingdom, Vampire Knight, Lucky Star, Made in Abyss, Berserk, Gates, I think it's called Air Gear. I forgot the name. It's Air or something. My number 1 Kingdom. I was completely as Berserk and after I gave up entirely. That makes sense. I like I think the new like the second adaptation Berserk animation kinda sucked. But Berserk is kinda dope. Air Gear, yeah. I loved Air Gear as well. Like Vampire Knight is a guilty pleasure. Even the fact knowing that after years later I learned, wow, this is such an ancestral, incestuous anime. I like it. Yeah. Marry your brother, give him kids, and then marry your crush, your second crush, give him kids, and then have your first child of your brother and the second child from your other husband marry each other, so they're both half sibling and marrying each other, and then their kids marry each other. I'm like, wow, okay, that gotta make sense because her parents are siblings. I'm like, you know what? Is in the blood, is in the family line. That's how they have to stay pure blooded, I guess. You can't break the line. Feel like family now official. I feel like they wanted to continue it, but I get what you mean since the original author died. Isn't he like, yeah, he is. He's like a brother, grandpa, uncle. He's all a stat. He's all the labels, to tell you that. The girl gets around, huh? I got surprised because we go. I'm like, what happened when I first finished the anime? I'm like, I want to know more what happened, so I read the manga, and they're like, oh, they got children. Oh, not only she got children with her brother, she had children with the other, the second male lead, and she had those two children fell in love. I think that's how it went, if I'm correct. I don't remember, it's been so long. The story in Rumi's mother, his wife, and had kids with her. I think there was her like even like real story, like sons like marrying their own mothers. Although, yeah, oh my god, I dropped my sliced up steak on my keyboard. Hold on. Usually, I think like I only got on the spacebar because usually before I eat, I have like something that's covering my keyboard, and my spacebar wasn't covering as much, so I just got a bit of my spacebar. I licked it off. First, I'm gonna for the keyboard. My keyboard is clean. I cover it whenever I eat. It's not that bad, trust me. I learned from my other keyboard that I have to take care of it like a child. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. I got a new poster. I got a poster. I got a hold on, let me take a bite. Let me take a bite now. Oops. I got a Terrifier poster. It's kind of cool because I'm currently wearing a Terrifier shirt. I'm currently wearing a Terrifier shirt, and then I have a Terrifier poster. But then I realized I don't have any freaking tape, and then I realized I can't find my little pin needles. I'm like, how am I gonna put it up in the wall when I don't have either of those? I realized I need to get tape. Wait, I need to show you. This poster is so cool. Oh, I'm gonna lay it on my bed because I need something to hold it. Yeah, I mean, poster animating people scary, but all the cons is security blanket. Listen here. He's not scary. He's not scary. He is a silly, goofy little clown who likes killing and having fun. He's not scary. Art the Clown is a goofball. Okay, good. It's not showing my toes. Easy Mariner or Unger Bot. It's not true. That's not true. That is not true. Whoever told you that is a bunch of liars. Bunch of liars. I don't know. I think if someone saw this poster, I mean, Art the Clown looks pretty cute on this poster. Let me show you. Let me upload it over here. Ah. Ding. See, look. Ignore that. I was using my food. I was eating. I had nothing to hold it. So I used my bowls that I was eating. I got this. Look, it's Art the Clown. Isn't he pretty cute? Isn't Art the Clown? Look, he has a big smile on his face. Saying cheese. Are you ready, son? See? This I'm killing Santa. What are you talking about? Just use... I'm showing you... This is the new poster I got. My second poster... The second thing that's going onto my wall after Bakura. Art the Clown. Look, it's so cute, isn't he? Look, maybe if I glue like blush marks, it'll look even more cuter. Husbando? No. Art the Clown is not husbando status. Art the Clown is... Oh, that's gonna sneeze. It got a dent? No, it doesn't. It's just... Something stuck in my nose. I made the prettiest one. That's what I'm saying. It's pretty cool, right? I think I might put in there. Put in there like the wall next like above my desk. So whenever I turn, I see a cute clown. Like, yeah! That makes me happy. It's like, imagine you just turn to your wall after seeing something cringe or disappointing or something that leaves bitter in your mouth, and you turn around and see something so cute and adorable and it reminds you of so many silly things. Yeah. That's the one for me. Kind of boy. He is boy. It was so good. I think, I don't know. It was crazy because I'm wearing an Arctic Clown shirt right now. Let me show you. I don't think it's as detailed as a poster, but I've been wearing in the past 5 days. Let me. Days. God forbid someone wears a shirt they like. I like that shirt. I like it a lot. I like the shirt. Oh, you wash it, but it's not stinky. It's not dirty. Look, like. Still smells nice. Still smells like the fresh laundry. Gives you a dream, but it's clean. Like, I haven't like really sweated a lot the past days because my room is usually cold. Any building is cold, and I'm not usually outside a lot. So like, I don't really, it doesn't smell. I'm also, yeah, it is clean. Goths keep the European culture alive. Do they? I didn't know that. Sweat free. No, I do sweat, but I haven't been sweating as much because it's been freezing. Look, see, this is the shirt. And then is based on the time he was going. Christmas beer, gifting. I do swear. Because is also the same. I think it's the same way as like spray nitrogen and then cut somebody's head off, no arm off, no finger off. I think he did something around that. I'm pretty sure he did all 3 of them. It was pretty cool. I know like the past 2 days. Nah. I don't change what I wear unless. No. I don't change what I wear unless I have to go somewhere that requires me to wear a different type of clothing. But when I come back home, I put back the clothes I was previously wearing. And or I sweat a lot and it starts stinking, I take it off. Or when I'm cooking and it gets dirty, I take it off. Otherwise, if it doesn't smell, it doesn't get stained, I continue to wear it. No. Or the clothes. I don't mean that's pretty. Oh, a t-shirt. No. I have shirts. I just like wear like 3 shirts, maybe 4 shirts per month. 5, 6. If I'm lucky. Usually I just stick with 1 shirt every week. That's only during the summer though. The summer I do change a lot because I sweat. But honestly, average case, like other reasons, like fall, spring, winter, I will not change my clothes for like 2 weeks straight. because it doesn't get dirty. I don't sweat. It doesn't smell. I have at least like 2 sweaters survives every month. I was your uncles a few times. Yeah. It's not dirty. Trust me, it smells okay. I legit smell fine. I swear to God. Like, there's no stink. It's germ is non-existent. Hi Z. Hi ZY. Hello. How are you? I don't have to shower. I don't stink. Why should I waste perfectly clean clothes and take a shower? There is no sense. And then I have to wear other clothes. Yeah, I'm just wasting clothes. They're clean. I'm clean. And why are you like wasting? Yeah. Not only that, it's a waste of my time. It's like efficiently. Like, I'm walking the path of efficiency. If I don't stink, I'm clean. Simple as it is. I can use that time of showering into something else. But I don't stink. Once I start stinking is once I take a shower. That's where the line is crossed. Agree, sure? Nothing wrong with agree, sure. Nothing wrong with bread rotting. Tell you that. Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, you know what? If I want to do something, but I'm hungry, you know what? I pull up a granola bar and then I stuff that in my mouth. Cause efficiency. I'm hungry. Pull up a freaking granola bar. You know what? I've been eating cucumbers a lot. You know, like, I've been loving cucumbers so much that I realized I don't have to cut them up. I can just eat them straight up. Just bite into it. And it's like biting into a carrot. Every time I'm craving a cucumber, I just grab the whole cucumber. Cause I don't feel like cutting it up. It can go straight into my mouth. That way, I don't have to clean the knife. I don't have to clean the chopping board. And I don't have to waste a bowl to clean. I'm gonna use a fork. I just need to have my hand to clean. Lazy as hell? No, it's called being efficient. Is a cat like cucumber? I don't know. I do wash the cucumber. Of course. I always wash it. The one thing she washed. Okay, I actually, okay. I wash my hands daily. Okay, I tell you that. I keep my hygiene clean. I have what do you call it? A bidet. I am clean. Hygiene wise. I have my hands are clean too. I can't say anything about my face though. But you know what? I've been blessed with good skin. For some reason, if I don't wash my face for a week, I have no acne. My face looks clear as ever for some darn reason. And every time I do my skincare consistently, bumps start showing my face, I realize, wow, I gotta tone down my skincare. Or just not wash my face. Maybe it's just because I'm just blessed with good skin. No, actually I do. I'm actually blessed with good skin. I think the only time I ever had like acne or like bumps on my face is when I don't clean my pillow cover. I always like I change my pillow cover at least every week. Because I drool a lot. Or it's my hair. That's enough. Close clears it right up. That's what I'm saying. I don't like clowns though. You know what's crazy? I don't like clowns, but I'm okay. I'm like totally okay with Art the Clown. It's kind of weird. Yeah, that's why I don't change it. Got a question now. I like cute things, okay? And Art the Clown is pretty cute, okay? To me, Art the Clown is cute. Maybe to others, it's not cute. Maybe it's scary, disturbing, uncomfortable. But to me, Art the Clown is very, very adorable and makes me smile. Enjoy. Like you happy, but nah. Even the clowns are being silly or happy. They are unironically scarier. Like when clowns are like this party clowns, those are scary. They're scary to me. I don't know, they make me uncomfortable. Like, they give me iffy vibes. For some reason, I don't know why. It just makes me like uncomfortable. Like seeing even like I think I watched like horror movies with other clowns that were not Art the Clown, and they were disturbing. They were disturbing, but for some reason Art the Clown was not disturbing to me because he wasn't unlike other like horror clowns. I think he was more like expressive, more gory, more creative, more cute, and he always knew how to make everything fun. Happy smiling guy, yeah! Like, oh my gosh. Like in, we call it, like in Terrifier 3, when like, I don't know if any's, like, if you see the part where he like went to the male shower and then he murdered the guy and then like kept like pushing this saw into his butt until it starts splurting blood out. And then like after like his body was all gutted up on the floor, Art the Clown, he started like making a snow angel with all the blood. I'm like, oh, that was so adorable. Or like the one, I think the Terrifier one. I think it's Terrifier on Terrifier 2 when you start hallucinating about the girl clown. He's doing patty cake, and then like that was adorable. But I think he didn't actually see her, just on his mind. But it's so full. And no, wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find the part. Yeah. Trying to go viral? Hey. I'm not making art the clown shrine before I make a Pakora shrine. After Pakora, I have to make the Northern Princess shrine. And after the Northern Princess shrine, then I have to make Frick, I forgot their name. Yeah, I'm horrible. There's like 4 other people. You are a public book. No, it's called a periodization. Like I knew Art Clown after, so I can't just kick out my Oshi for a clown. That's bizarre. That's freaking bizarre. That's crazy work. Oh, I found it. If we're going to act the clown cosplay, I'll be kneeling for 2 months straight. Not 2 months, 6 months. No, a year straight. I'll print it. I'll make pins of it. It'll be such a joy to see 2 things. It is safe. I think it's safe for stream. I mean, it's on YouTube, right? If it's safe for YouTube, it's safe for stream, right? Because it's already on YouTube, so why wouldn't it be safe? It was because YouTube let us stay. It's been 9 months on YouTube, so I think it's safe. I think it's safe. Should be safe. I think he ripped his leg off. I think I skipped the part. Yeah, see? He kept going into his butt. And I think he's gonna keep on to it. Wait. Does it show that? I don't think it shows it. Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, Argent Terrifier? That's okay. YouTube allows it. See, this is cute. This is the cute part. No, that, yeah, really. Oh, this is real. Isn't that so adorable? That scene was very captivating. Why do you like the gorge thing? It's called appreciating art. It's not about the gore. It's not about the the fear and horror aspect of it. It's the meaning of it. I don't know what the meaning either. I'm just appreciating art. You know, like if you see a painting, and it shows this sophisticated head with flowers in its mouth. I mean, how would you react? Scared? Fear? Or is there something else meaning to it? Art comes in different ways. And I think this type of art is cute to me. It's adorable. It's fascinating. Alright, I watched The Sinners. I did. The concept was cool. I liked the concept of Sinners, but I didn't really like the ending. No. I didn't like certain parts of the ending, yeah. Oh, I also saw Superman. Oh my gosh. Let me call it. I'm not like a hero thing, like a Marvel or other one, whatever it's called, I forgot. I don't really watch like hero movies. I'm not really a big fan of that. And but then like the little crowies, they wanted to watch Superman. I'm like, okay, let's watch it. And I didn't really have expectations for it, but holy heck, this movie exceeded a lot of things. Like, I can call it hope. It was so positive, so hopeful. It just sparked inside something while watching it. Like, holy heck, this is actually epic. This is so cringe, but so good. It was pretty cringe, but I enjoyed the cringe because it was so good. It made me smile. It made me happy. It was actually decent. And then, like, I think the ending, oh my gosh. We stayed until, like, after the credits. If you stay, like, after the credits, it shows, like, Superman, like, I think, in the moon, the dog. Oh, and I was, like, interested because you see, like, Superman's, I think it's his sister. I don't think his sister. Auntie? I heard that they're gonna make a movie about her, and I took some research, and I realized, a depressed teenager who is traveling through planets, consuming herself and drowning herself in alcohol to ignore what happened to our homeland. I'm like, damn, that is depressing. I need to watch that. But I wonder how they do it. I just CGI to not be as like, I know like CGI has been bad lately because they make everything look so perfect and it looks so weird. It looks like soulless. That's the word I'm looking for. What are you doing for stream today? I don't know, honestly. I was free tonight. I was free. So I was like, since I'm free tonight, why don't I just stream? So okay, because I don't normally stream on Tuesdays, but I end up being free tonight. But I had two choices. I either had to stream or doom scroll in my bed for the night until like 10 until like 11 or 10 p.m. and then I knock out. Also, I need to start drinking Monster again. Holy heck, my body keeps like shutting down. I need water. Oh yes, water is right here. Be right back. I'm putting my dishes away. Okay, I'm back. I more rice. I already have. I have like 3 water bottles on my desk, and I have like 3 more under. I think I have enough water for myself. I just got more rice for myself. The girls, I drink water all the time, okay? I drink water all the time. I also have juice. I have water and juice. Yeah. How do you think my look? There's also a reason why my skin is always fresh, because of water. I drink water daily. That's how I look healthy. My skin stays fresh because I drink water. So always drink water. Hydrate your water. Hydrate your skin. Wait, don't hydrate your water. That makes no sense. I don't know why I said that. Hydrate your skin. I already said. I'm talking about my human form. You're doing double? No. We can hydrate water. Wait. The only way you can hydrate the water is the water is drying up. When the water is drying up, yeah, you hydrate the water. But otherwise, there's no reason to hydrate water because you're doing nothing but adding more water. Because water is not going anywhere. We're starting to hydrate water. That sounds like that sounds like a really. That sounds like a very scammy advertisement. People advertise a product saying that, trust me, it will do this, and they swear to everything that the result they will get just from buying this product. And when the user buys the product, nothing happens, and then they can get a refund. I mean, it really depends. Like if you hydrate water, but the water in hydrate water is you're referring to the water inside of us because our body contains water. So what you're saying that you're not saying hydrate your body, you're saying hydrate the water inside of you. So realistically, you are not actually misleading the audience, you're just rephrasing it. And that's what scam people do. They rephrase statements so people buy the product even though they're not saying what it really means. And you know what? That actually might be a good product. I'm pretty sure you can pull at least a few $100s from really dumb folks. It's copyright. We can't tell you how we do it. A little color and turn. Actually, I do for free. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, dear honey, do you hear that? They say they'll give us a free hydrated water if we buy one. We get a second one for free, honey. It's such a sweet deal. We have to get it. Actually, let's get 3. If we get 3, we get 3 free. Let me make it 6 out of it. I feel like they'll fool a lot of boomers. They're definitely full of boomers. I love water. Water tastes so good. Yeah, you like water? I like water. It's not strong, it's not flavorful. It's simple, plain, and easy to go down your throat. I love my water warm, but I love hot water. I'm a huge fan of hot water. I love hot water. Even during hot days or summer days, I'd rather drink hot water. For some reason, hot water tastes better than cold water. Like, I'd rather chew ice than drink cold water. I think eating ice is the same thing. Nah, I like hot water. Especially like eating a meal. Oh, the hot water goes so well. Go now, you should try some hot water. Oh, it would actually be a little bit more good. Yeah, it is. A damn bowl of hot water. I'm telling you, you gotta try hot water. It's a game changer, especially drink it with a meal. I do, yeah, I'm lowering my iron a lot. I like chewing ice. I really bad. I like. Like, is that what is that supposed to mean? Hey there. How do you like your steak? I like my steak burnt. I like my steak almost rubber. No, I like it fully cooked, but not like rubber. Iron fish? Yeah, I can have some sushi. Oh yeah, I did. I saw like people put like iron fish, and I saw that. I was thinking also getting one. Also thinking of getting beef liver pills. I think it's called beef liver pills. Whenever I catch up, nah. Rare? Oh my gosh, Key. Might as well just eat it raw. The heck you mean rare? You eat raw meat at that point. I don't think I know me. It feels irritating. Are you? I like me about I do on each steak with ketchup. Is the cheese good with ketchup? I don't know. I usually like having my steak with rice or like potatoes. I can't eat steak alone. I can't eat meat alone. I have to have a side dish with my meat. It feels incomplete. Medium rare? I tried medium rare. I don't like how slimy it is. It's like slimy. Mommy, you wonder well back in accidentally left the butter at the plate. Did you drink it, Key? Did you eat it all up and slurp up all the blood? I still broke a can of beans for lunch. What is that fair? Beans are so good. But not like I eat steak daily. I eat like steak like we get a steak like once a month. And they're like we just like we go to a butcher store like once a month. And we order like a bunch of different kind of meat. It is a lot of money. Like a lot. But it lasts us for a pretty long while. And then sometimes we just get steak. I did dip a steak in puddle. Yeah. Bro. But just say you're a raw eater, bro. Don't just say it's cooked. I don't know why. If you're a rare, you are raw. Rare is raw. You are raw. You're eating raw. You're taking raw. You are a raw eater. You might as well cut up a cow and just eat it straight up. I guess they don't like they just don't even put it on they put it on the pan for like a millisecond and say yeah, it's done. The way they were side-eyeing you because it's abnormal. They're like, what kind of person eats meat raw? And take a bite, yes. Like, why did I call it rare? Just say raw, medium raw, no raw. Where did the rare cook even came from? You just replaced the word raw. And then you need to fight back to be what the heck? You might as well just eat a squid. I'm pretty sure if you eat a raw squid, they're definitely gonna fight back. You can feel them squirm in your mouth. I tried a raw squid before, and you can just feel it. They start going crazy in your mouth. That's not correct. When I see them, I taste the raw seasoning. That's not good. That's not good, Roderick. I haven't had another puddle place ever. I feel like if it's puddled, they didn't even bother to cook it. They just put it on your plate. And put like maybe a slice of cilantro on it for aesthetic pleasing. You know what I love? Is it kidney? Hold on. I ate it like... You know you make a cube and drop them in the ocean for 5 live in them and the crab higher to... Wait, what? Oh! Yeah, isn't that a way to catch like a bunch of fishes? It was plastic, that's how I got into it. No, I'm gonna tell you a trick to save your money. Just go to a local barn, like at like 3 a.m. Grab your utensils, a mask, go into a barn, the cow barn, and then take a bite and then run away. You get free meat. Now you didn't spend a cent on it. To live in them? Oh, ow. Oh my god. I just raped my own ear. Oh, that hurt. Ah. Yeah, because my hair got like in like between my ear and my earbud, and then I was trying to pull. I was pulling my hair like very fast. I was tucking it behind my ear, and then like it made a screeching sound. It was so loud in my ear. Like I just Valentine cows and I can't eat Sally. That's why I told you put a face mask and go there at 3 a.m. Then you don't have to confront the farmer. I know they won't know it's you. Oh yeah. I was gonna say this. Have you eaten kidney before? Kidney? Or like liver? I have. I love liver. I love kidney. But oh my god. when like either like cooking kidney or cooking liver. I hate the kidney smell while cooking is so disgusting. I feel like puking, and they're like it's horrible. And then you have to season it like a certain way so the smell can go away, and not as strong. And they're like, oh, it tastes so good though. I love it. Will it give me gas? It does. I think liver being gassy as well. I don't know. But I like liver. Liver doesn't smell as bad as kidney cooking. But it also tastes good. Love it. A kidney is pretty chewy. Also, I think kidney is more chewier than liver. I love them both. I think I have them like once every 3 months. Or like twice a year. Did you guys watch the Terrories or something? Terrify. Oh yeah, I was showing a poster in the shirt, and I show like a clip of a Terrifier from Terrifier 3, which I liked. Hi, Rage. How are you? Oh yeah. Return to regular programming. We're gonna like program my mind. I'm pretty sure I program my mind to be normal. I'm a pretty normal. I'm a pretty normal crow. I blend in normally. I gotta program my mind to that. How are you? I'm doing well. I'm just eating right now and yapping. Oh my god. Crowies, you're gonna be my ear to listen because I didn't have anyone to yap this about. Do you guys know? Because I'm rather know maybe because I have no friends. But do you something here about like maybe because I'm Crocodile Online on TikTok, but like about this like woman who's been so delulu who thinks her psychiatrist like likes her or like fell in love with her, and then she made like a full-on like 13 TikTok series like videos parts talking about her psychiatrist tricked her, manipulated her, and how she knew he fell in love. But then everything she has stated, she never. I think I reached I think I was part 20, and she never even stated any wrong the psychiatrist ever did, or and it gave an example how he crossed her boundaries. Yet she keeps claiming that he did, and he's the one pursuing her, and then like saying things like, "Oh, I'll see you till next time," and then she takes that statement as if saying, as a flirtatious statement, like, "Oh, he wants to see me again, so he can't wait to see me. Oh, he likes me." And he's like, "Yeah," and then I shut him down. That was a red flag. I'm like, damn, this woman is crazy. She's delulu out of her mind. She might have psychosis to how delulu she is, and the fact that she even dated like two therapists who were familiar to a psychiatrist. So she dated them despite the psychiatrist, even though it didn't work, but psychiatrist didn't care at all. And she always talks about her relationship to the psychiatrist, even though she has a therapist who she can speak upon to, even though she didn't like her therapist because her therapist is an old hag, and her psychiatrist. Oh, I knew. I think you can tell already back from like first part one, like she's pointing out like, oh yeah, my psychiatrist is handsome. I should have known that was a red flag. I'm like, how is someone's appearance a red flag? What? That makes no sense. This woman's crazy. And that's how I got hooked into it. I'm like, this is absurd. Absolutely. And I remember one time when when she asked what's his favorite glasses, and he said like, oh, my favorite glasses is the tortoise glasses, because he legit is wearing one because he likes them. And the next time they met, she wore one as well, and then he complimented her saying that, and for some reason she took what he said and misinterpreted it as if he was trying to hit on her and think that he was being flirtatious. And then somehow she made this whole freaked up. I don't know, she said so many complicated words. And then like, how did you come up with that conclusion? It was even more funny when like real therapists and psychiatrists were like review her videos and say, damn, this girl might go to psychiatrist as though she's going through stuff, which is not right, because psychiatrist is doing his job. He is supposed to listen. You know what's crazy? Is that the fact that she even said like multiple like why does he even listen to me yap? Why does he? The fact that he doesn't tell me to stop talking was another red flag. He's a psychiatrist. He's supposed to listen to you yap. He's supposed to know how you're doing, how things are going. Like what? And you see, I was on TikTok. I think it's her name is Kendra. And then we call it. I remember his other part where she found, because she was doing this, she was meeting her psychiatrist through Zoom. And they meet like I think 6 times a month. I think 4 times a month. And they're like, and they were going. It was all through a Zoom call, by the way. And then one time, she saw his background change and saw that, and like, oh, you have an office, and he's like, yeah, I do have an office, but sometimes I take my client through Zoom. And then he's like, oh, you took client, yeah, I do in-person client. And then like, she literally even met him in person for like to one of our sessions. And then sometimes, occasionally, the way she told her story sounds like the psychiatrist was legit scared of her, because he would actually escort her out of the door to make sure she's not in the building anymore. And then she took that as a sign that he's being a gentleman, that he wants her. Like, no, you're a crazy woman. He does not want to handle you. He does not want to be near you. You're actually delusional. It is real. It is real. Is I never knew people like this actually think like that. Like, they actually live in their own Delulu world. Ugh. I felt like there's a full video of it, the complete series. is no. This type of delusional. Look. I'm delusional, but there's an extent of my delusional. I put my delusional mixed with the realistic things, and that way I be delusional at certain things, but I actually have some realism. You're like, dang, I might be. I have at least my delulu does not involve other people. My delulu is me and my imaginary friends, or 2D cute girls. My delulu involves not real people. It's not the same. But people who have delusionals or Party delulu? No, you're real. I have no reason for you guys to delulu. And that's too dangerous. With a figment of your imagination? Well, real or not. If you guys are not real, but it's okay. At least, even if it's not real, the crowies makes me happy. And I don't mind it. I felt okay. So this is Kendra, who fell in love with a psychiatrist, who she gaslighted and manipulated her own self, thinking that her psychiatrist likes her back, which is not even true. She's crazy. She's a crazy woman, and it's not good for her.
I fell in love with my psychiatrist, and he knew, and he kept me until I had the strength to leave after 4 years. Here it is, part 1. So I decided to go back on ADHD meds after many years of being off of them. I was on them in my early 20s to help me get through college, and then I went off of them because they just weren't, like, the side effects were too much over the benefits. But then in
turn it up.
In my late 20s, I read this book, Taking Charge of Adult ADHD, and it absolutely changed my life. For my fellow ADHDers, there's so many good things in here. And the biggest thing that I took away was that it's very important for ADHDers to be on meds. So I decided to make an appointment with a psychiatrist. I just Googled psychiatry in the city that I lived in. And
She yaps a
I went with the
lot.
first one that came up, and I got an appointment within a month. And then I booked a 90-minute intake, and I show up to the intake, and this man is my age, and I can't help but notice that he's pretty attractive.
Pretty attractive, she says, and yet she blames his attractiveness, his tone, the way he talks, for making her fall in love with him.
Psychiatrist, and he kept me anyway, part 2. So in this intake, I kind of clocked that he was attractive in my age, but when I tell you that I've had a lot of couch time in my life, a lot of therapy, I just went right into it. I trusted him enough, of course, why wouldn't I, to tell him about my childhood trauma, my daddy issues, if you will, what I had went through, all of the relationship trauma that I had. I was 6 months sober at this time, but like all of the drinking and substance use I used to do, and
Right. She actually used AI in one of her live stream because she realized she has no one supporting her. She went to an AI named Henry to support her claim and say that the AI says I'm correct. It's crazy. Because she even turned off her comment section, realizing that everyone's pointing out that she's crazy.
Just listened and nodded. And that's the thing about psychiatrists, is that they're good at pretending to listen. They can appear connected, but that doesn't mean that they're always connected. So I just felt really seen. And I also told him, I was like, look, I don't want to be on stimulant meds. So he listened to me and he put me on the non-stimulant ADHD med at the lowest dose just to figure out if it was going to work for me. Part 3. So I hadn't ever seen a psychiatrist before. When I was on meds in my early 20s, I only got meds from my primary care physician. So I didn't understand how psychiatry works. So because he was figuring out my med dose, I saw him every month, and he just made me feel like I was his friend.
Hi, Casanova.
He was really, really funny and cracked jokes, and told me he was impressed with my running that I would do, and yeah. So, of course, I loved the attention that I got from him. And it was in my 3rd session with him, because at this point we were all on Zoom, that I asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if I call you by your first name? And he's Pakistani, so I said his first name wrong. And he said, well, it's pronounced this, but yes, of course you can. And he seemed so smug and happy with himself.
How does one interpret it? Someone being smug and happy with themselves when you're telling them your name. Oh, God forbid someone smile saying, "Oh, this is how you're pronounce." You can't even be nice to someone anymore without thinking that they're trying to be smug. What the heck? What can I do? Good night, Roderick.
And I know that that is because that was his first sign that him pretending like we're friends was working. And to be fair to me, I had only ever been to therapy before. I didn't realize that it's important to call your doctor last name. I mean, I did know that. I did it with all my other doctors, but it just showed that the boundaries were blurring, and he liked that. So from then on, from my 3rd session I started calling him his first name. And then he just started turning up the volume on us being friendly. And he would ask me, for the first 6 sessions, he asked me after the meds, he said, how's your bowels, bladder, and appetite? And I would say they're all normal. And then he would ask me any thoughts of harm. And apparently that's pretty common for psychiatry to ask those questions. And then on our 6th session, when things were really, the chemistry was starting to be there before, like, I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, this man is just friendly. And he said, I have to ask this because it's a special interest of mine, but is there any thoughts of harm? Like, I was special to him. And I said, no thoughts of harm. And he didn't ever ask me a clinical question again. He stopped asking me about my bladder, bowels, and appetite, and he stopped asking me about thoughts of harm. So to me, I would just show up and he was like a therapy appointment every month. So I was seeing him every month and just gaining more and more respect for him, because he would just tell me these little things about his successes and all of the cool things that he was doing in his life. And it made me fall for him, honestly.
That's what I'm saying.
He was really good.
She's actually Delulu.
I mean, he's a Pisces, right? So of course he's going to be there and be able to go deep with my feelings. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't extracting from them. Anyway, so I would beg him to let me see him every week. Beg him, because my therapist at the time, he was fine. He wasn't a predator, but he was fine. He just wasn't doing very much for me.
She only saw him like once a month or twice a month. But she begged him. She's gonna state it later on, but she begged him to have more sessions. But she worded it as if he wanted it as well. Strawman girl, yeah.
And so that therapist retired, and I got a new therapist. And this new therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman,
Girl, she's like a
she was pretty helpful. So I stopped asking my psychiatrist, begging, honestly, to be my therapist and let me see him more, right? Which also should have been a red flag. But then I started focusing on this therapist.
How is that a red flag?
I would tell the therapist how obsessed I was with my psychiatrist, and she didn't do anything about it. She just was interested. She also loved stories about my dating life, and yeah, she also was getting supply from me in her own way, but that's for another part. So yes, so I got a new therapist who actually helped me. She taught me CBT, EFT, all of these different modalities. And so I went back to just being okay with seeing Irfan once a month while he was giving me these little breadcrumbs of making me feel special,
telling me
about his professional achievements, telling me about how he's getting international recognition. And it worked. I was really impressed. See me weekly. And that is when the intermittent reinforcement started. Some sessions he'd be warm and kind and wonderful and let me in on little parts of his life and like be vulnerable with me or pretend. Other sessions he would be cold and clinical and detached. And you know what that did? It made me work harder in our next sessions. It did. And it started.
But that makes no sense. Like, why didn't they work harder? You guys are not a relationship. It is a business thing. You're the client. He's a psychiatrist. He says some things to help you open up and talk about things. You say some things. It doesn't have it because she is so delulu in her own world. She's unable to like accept what is the status between her and psychiatrist. What is your purpose here?
The addiction.
She's special.
100%. And he knew exactly what he was doing. This man gives lectures on trauma and attachment theory. He used his psychiatric training to manipulate me. And guess what? It worked. In January of 2024,
how dare you manipulate me using your job?
As I was going through a green light. And it was the night before my next appointment with my psychiatrist. So I was like, okay, I'll still be able to go to my appointment on Zoom. I'm okay. But I did make an appointment with an urgent care the next day just to get checked out. I had bruising on my abdomen and a perforated eardrum. And the provider at the urgent care said, I do not feel comfortable treating you. You need to seek emergency care now. You may be internally bleeding. But it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and my appointment with my psychiatrist was at 2. So I decided that I was going to wait so I could see my psychiatrist.
Seeing her psychiatrist is more important than her internal bleeding that she has to go to the ER for, or else it's going to get worse? No, I have to see my psychiatrist. He's more important. Oh my god. She's actually sick in the head.
I was looking forward to my appointment with him so much. I look back at that time and I'm just like, oh my god, I put my own life under seeing him. I was fully addicted to him at this point. And you know what happened is that I showed up and I told him that I may be internally bleeding, and he didn't stop the appointment. He didn't say, you need to take care of yourself, go get emergency care now. He let me continue and just tell him about how much I loved him and how grateful I was for him, because that was really what most of our appointments were, is me just like pouring myself out, because he was so good at the intermittent reinforcement. Yeah, I got some warmth from him that appointment. So that was January 2023. And I also told my therapist about this. She said nothing. See him, that's when he really started turning up the intimacy in our appointments. However, he was really smart and knew the professional lines like the back of his hand. So he would comment on my appearance.
No, I feel like
but
she's
not
she's like
compliment
leaving
my
some
appearance.
information.
So I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you curled your hair." Or I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you're wearing glasses." And of course I felt seen and excited that he was noticing these things about me. I didn't realize at this time that he had feelings for me too. I thought I was holding them all by myself. So I was so excited when he noticed my glasses that I ran and showed him my other pair, and he said, "I prefer turtle shell glasses." So even though I usually wear contacts, I'm wearing these turtle shell glasses in these videos because just in case he sees them ever, he'll see me in his favorite glasses. He did tell me he likes the turtle shell. Anyway, it was just inappropriate things like that, little teeny things that he let me in. And all this time, my best friend is an emergency medicine physician. And she told me, she said, "Kendra, one of these days, your psychiatrist," she would use his name, "is going to say, I can't be your doctor anymore.
That was 2 years ago. She's still obsessed with him.
I want to be with you so bad. I can't be your doctor. I'll see you in 2 years." So my best friend, who's a doctor, she picks up on stuff like that. So even she knew that our relationship was crossing boundaries and getting weird, but that was...
You're the one crossing boundaries.
For my psychiatrist, I almost use his name, to do that. And I told him about Brianna saying that, my best friend, who's the emergency medical doc. I told him that she would tell me that, and he just would be silent. He didn't disagree, but he didn't agree. You know, and that was weaponized neutrality was his favorite game to play.
Well, okay, okay, imagine your client tells you how much if tells you about that kind of story. Won't you be silent about it? Won't you be like in shock and weirded out? That's a normal reaction, to be silent. I wonder what kind of reaction she kind of expected for him.
Right? He didn't disagree with Brianna telling me that my psychiatrist...
Yeah, he has to be professional.
But he also didn't say that's inappropriate. Let's change the subject. It was also around this time that I asked my psychiatrist if he had diagnosed me with anything other than ADHD when I had my initial diagnosis. And
you're a CBD.
I said, "Oh, what did you diagnose me with?"
Crazy B word disorder.
You had a lot of traumatic things happen to you in childhood because of your dad, and so I diagnosed you with other trauma and stressor related disorder. And that was the first little ping that I got of like, that was weird. Why would he keep that from me? I asked him, like, why wouldn't he tell me that? That seems important. He didn't tell me because he was using that information to manipulate me. He knew I had trauma and stressor disorder, and instead of helping me heal from it and telling me about it, he used it against me. January 2023, at this point I was full-blown obsessed with my psychiatrist, and my therapist wasn't helping me, my psychiatrist wasn't helping me, he was feeding it. And then I got a boyfriend, and at first my psychiatrist wasn't really that keen, but then my psychiatrist realized that my boyfriend was a lot like my psychiatrist.
See, I told you.
Talking to my psychiatrist about my sex life, about tracking my cycle, using the fertility awareness method, and my psychiatrist loved it. He didn't ever say, "This isn't inappropriate to your care, let's pivot." Oh, he just let me talk and talk and talk about my sex life, and I didn't get too
God forbid someone does their job.
About a year and a half in, and I would send my psychiatrist these emails just about how much I liked him and how I was so grateful for him, and put in a bunch of heart emojis. And this is really when he should have transferred my care, but you know, he waited. He liked what I gave him too much. And so even though my boyfriend did not meet my needs, my psychiatrist and my therapist both were like, "You have to stay with him. There's nothing wrong with him not meeting your needs." I'm like, okay. And my psychiatrist was like, "He's perfect. Don't get wrong with him." And what was perfect about him was he wasn't meeting my needs. So I was still coming to my psychiatrist looking for emotional validation, which he would drip to me slowly.
That's the point.
So my therapist...
I also feel bad for her boyfriend. Like, I think she, throughout this, like, just 4 years, she got 2 boyfriends who is very similar to a psychiatrist, and she used them to fulfill the the void that she's unable to get from the psychiatrist, which is so messed up. Is sick in the head.
Who I didn't know at this
She
time
voiced over so
had
far.
bad
She was like,
boundaries,
"Is that
but she
okay?"
did. I went to her because my boyfriend and I, after like more than a year together, we started having issues in the bedroom. And so I went to my therapist and she asked me, "What does your psychiatrist think about this?" And I said, "I don't know. I haven't talked to my psychiatrist about this stuff because I have a crush on my psychiatrist and I don't want to tell him this intimate of stuff." And she said, "Well, you should tell him because I want a male's perspective." So at my next appointment with my psychiatrist, I told him, I said, "Today we're going to talk about my intimate life." And he said, "Oh." I said, "Yes. My psychologist, my therapist, asked what your opinion on it was. And I told her that I don't talk to you about this intimate stuff because I have a crush on you." And he looked down and smiled so big in that moment. He smiled so big. And I loved it.
I'm pretty sure he did like a very. I think he was trying to stay professional. Because for me, whenever I'm trying to stay serious, I pull up a very awkward smile. I think just because he smiled doesn't mean he liked
So gross
it.
thinking about it. And then I proceeded to give him 30 minutes of non-stop content about my intimate life with my boyfriend. And I actually recorded the whole thing.
She
because
recorded
I was so
it?
excited about it.
I
But
bet
now it
she
makes me sick.
gooned
I
to
can't even
it.
listen to the recording. I tried to start, but it's gross.
I bet there's no reason to record it unless she gooned to it afterwards. Holy heck, she's a
And
big
a typical
freak.
psychiatrist would have stopped me and said, "Kendra, let's talk about your meds. Let's talk about your care." At this point, my meds were stable. And I was still seeing him every month. Yeah, that was a rough time. And it was pretty much his Christmas morning, the almost 2.5 years of grooming me to get me to talk about sexual things with him worked. And he got 30 minutes of nonstop content to use. Things. One, people are asking me what my mental health diagnosis is. I do not have BPD. I do not have psychosis.
You have
I
psychosis.
ADHD, and I was experiencing extreme limerence with my psychiatrist. Limerence is a normal thing to happen to anyone who is experiencing hot and cold behavior from someone. And it happens more often in people with ADHD because we have dopamine dysregulation and rejection sensitive dysphoria. And guess what? My psychiatrist knew that and used it to his advantage. 2, I accidentally said my psychiatrist's first name in one of my videos. If you clocked it, good for you. I do not owe him anonymity. However, this is not about doxing my psychiatrist. This is about me sharing my story so other people.
This is the face of a crazy woman.
In people in power.
This is what psychosis looks like.
Doxes my psychiatrist with his last name or city that he works in or clinic that he works in, your comment will be immediately deleted. And
this is very ironic because she doxed him on a live stream through thousands of people watching. So this is very ironic coming from her. It's like, don't dox him. Don't dox him. But I can dox him.
You will be blocked. This is about protecting other victims, not doxing my psychiatrist. If you do some investigative work and you want to DM me about it, I'm open to that, okay? 3, I need to take a moment. Moment taken. It is so incredibly
moment taken.
to me. The amount of people that are predator protectors. That are victim blaming me, especially the mental health practitioners in my comments using therapy speak to say that this situation that I was in was my fault.
It is your fault.
Delusional.
You're delusional.
Check yourself. You're giving me more ammunition to share my story. because it just goes to show how absolutely messed up the mental health industry is and how protected people who do this kind of sick psychological manipulation are. So I will continue with my story. Welcome back to another installment of I Was in Love with My Psychiatrist and He Kept Me Anyway, Part 8. You all did some nasty work last night, and I had to
she's
turn off
lost hope.
people started posting my psychiatrist's first and last name, his picture.
She's the
in
type
comments.
of person that
was a
deserved
jump
to be in
scare.
asylum.
So, yeah, a few bad actors who wanted to be super sleuths got the privilege of commenting, mostly hate, let's be real, taken away for everyone. So at this point in the story, there are two main players. My psychiatrist, who's my age, who crossed major ethical boundaries, and my therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman with a PhD. Neither of these people, at this point in the story, I knew were crossing boundaries. I thought everything...
By the way, part 8. We are 17 minutes in. She has not stated anything the psychiatrist has done wrong or he has crossed any boundaries, yet she repeatedly stated that he has crossed boundaries.
It was hunky-dory and that I was just in love with my psychiatrist and it was totally normal. Little did I know he was manufacturing everything, so I couldn't fall in love with him. Because it was on him to set the professional boundary and not let attention build. So days after my psychiatrist's Christmas morning appointment from a few videos back where he got a crush confession from me and then 30 minutes of non-stop intimate content that he did not stop me, my boyfriend and I broke up days later. So then I started dating this other guy. And this other guy, this new guy, was
a therapist.
And I was like, oh great, someone who will be able to emotionally meet my needs. Yeah, I'm not gonna date another therapist again. So this therapist and I, we went for coffee, it was nice. Our second date was a hike. And on this hike, this therapist starts telling me about how he has a crush on one of his clients. And I thought to myself, okay, this is strange, but go ahead. Like, we're on a date, dude. Why are you telling me about a crush on one of your clients? But go off, King. So then he was saying, yeah, she's so attractive and I think she likes me too. I go and visit her at work and her coworkers say, oh, so-and-so talks about you all the time. And I was like, okay, where does she work? And he said, well, I shouldn't tell you that because I really shouldn't be visiting her anyway. I was like, okay, no problem. So then he continues and he said, yeah, she wears these red lacy panties and short skirts.
What the heck is that?
I know she wears them for me. And like alarm.
He's a crazy.
Mind you, I had no idea that my psychiatrist had similar feelings towards me at this point. But I just thought, wow, this man is borderline predatory. And he said, yeah, and you know, she just is so attractive that I have to smash her mate before every session because I just have to get that energy out of me. And I was like, okay. And yeah, he just felt compelled to tell me, and I did not understand why. Now I do. So he told me about how he's a predator, right?
Okay, I think this part is not true. I think she made this up. Because there's no way you're going on a first date and you tell the person you're dating that you're hitting up another girl. I feel like she's made this up to tell her psychiatrist about it, or feel like what she's doing is not wrong, or feel like this is what her psychiatrist is doing. So she made this story up to assume this is what her psychiatrists do or think about her. I feel like it's like realistically, I don't think no one ever like go on a date and is straight up saying like, yeah, I'm banging this woman. Yeah. Want to go on another date? Like, it's just, I don't think someone ever does that on a first date. If someone does, it's kind of weird. Unless they don't want to date that person anymore. And that's one way not to see them ever again. After that, yeah. I don't think she made this story up to, like, validate her delusions. Doesn't relate to
predator in the
psychiatry.
mental health
That's
industry.
crazy.
Shocker. So then, at my next appointment with my psychiatrist, keep in mind, it had been 6 weeks of nonstop fun for this man. He got to use my crush confession and 30 minutes of content, for whatever he wanted to use it for, right? And if my psychiatrist was good at anything, it was being professional and acting professional.
Yeah,
and
that's his job.
Technically not crossing any lines.
That's his job.
He thought that he was so good at it, because he was good at it. That doesn't mean he wasn't doing it. And so I told him, I said, yeah, Bo and I broke up. He had known about this other guy, my psychiatrist. I had mentioned him. And I told him that this new guy and I went on a date and we went on a hike. And I literally had no idea at this point, I'll say it again, that my psychiatrist was predatory towards me. I almost said his first name again. I'm going to do my best.
He wasn't.
So I went to my psychiatrist and I told him this story about this man that I went on a date with, who's a therapist, is relieving himself before appointments and talking about his clients' panties and doing all of these other extremely inappropriate things, like visiting her at work. And this man, my psychiatrist, looked like he had seen a ghost and like he was gonna vomit, because he prided himself on being an extremely professional and buttoned up person. But here I was holding a mirror to him with exactly what he was doing, but a bumbling idiot telling me like how he was doing it without the fancy degree, without any of that.
That is actually freaked up. That is, yeah, it's a freaking weird. It's like you just, a client tells you how someone else in your field is being predatory. Yeah, it's shockers. You think he's gonna be like some freaking NPC and have the same default face 24/7 after hearing a story that's creepy? Oh my gosh. It's like any humanly expression that he does is like the answer to her delusions. Is like, what the heck? They don't see, I think they see each other like twice a month now. See, because she's been like asking for more sessions. I think 3 times, 4, I forgot how many times, but I think they see each other.
Back on that now, and it's just crazy. And so it just tainted all the fantasy material that I had given him the session before. Hi, I need to say something really important. And that's that it seems as though many people view what I'm going through as a crash out, what I'm doing as a mental health spiral.
Yeah.
And of course it seems like that.
It is.
It's an extremely dark thing to talk about. All of this.
You're crazy.
And I am sharing my story because it wasn't out there. No one else has shared a story like this.
Yeah, because they're not crazy.
That it happens a lot because people are in my DMs telling me that the same thing that I went through, they went through too.
You're schizo.
I am now in TikTok jail. I got a violation on the video where I talked about really the biggest damning evidence against my psychiatrist. And so because of that, I have to be really careful. So I'm going to do my very best to not be reactive and to share my story from a place of generosity, because the people in my DMs telling me that they've been through this too, it's keeping me going. It's not my mental health spiral. And I can understand that for some people in the mental health space, because they have been some of the loudest people to speak out against what I'm doing, it's hard to grasp that someone could have this level of predation in such a high place of power. So just in case my video doesn't get put back up, when everything changed was when my 75-year-old therapist, I went to her with intimate details and she suggested I go to my psychiatrist with them. And I felt so excited and nervous to share that with him because I had such a big crush on him at the time. And I recorded all 33 minutes. So this is why, if my psychiatrist wants to come with me to me and like sue me for defamation. I have a 33-minute recording of me admitting I have a crush on him and speaking about extremely intimate details. It was in that moment that he really, really should have transferred my care.
Or you could have stopped.
That moment changed everything for him too, because
what?
That's when things really started getting deep between us. And this is where the story is going to go from now. It's going to be a good story. And I'm going to try to tell it all today, just in case one of my videos does get banned so people can hear it. But just know, if you're concerned for my mental health, thank you.
I'm very concerned.
More than good, actually. And I am actually a coach for ADHDers. It says it in my bio. And I help people.
I think you have more than ADHD. Well, whoever evaluates you
numbing with alcohol and
did it wrong. I think you have more than that.
These are the things that so many of us do to avoid our truths. And this is my truth and what I went through. So this is when the chemistry really started going off the charts with me and my psychiatrist. And I held it alone for months, like after that Christmas morning appointment of his. And then after I innocently told him about my date with the therapist, he really started letting me in more and showing more parts of himself and, you know, turning up the intimacy. And that was exciting to me, and it made me fall for him more. And I noticed that he was working in an office, and I asked him, this was like July, I asked him, I said, hey, are you working from home? Because I was under the assumption that he was only doing telehealth. Okay. And he said, no, I come into the office. I was like, oh, why do you do that? If you see all of your patients telehealth. He's like, oh, I like it that way. And even though I could kind of tell he was lying, I just gaslit myself. I was like, okay,
yeah, because he doesn't want to see you.
And then I start emailing him my fun little emails, but he stops writing me back. He does not write back to my emails anymore. Because once again, he was really good at plausible deniability. But what he did do is he would take my emails and mention them in session. So he would still give me the attention that I was craving.
He also told me what soap he used.
Structure, under his control, where there was no paper trail. And I loved that too. So I would show up to these sessions with my notes app. And just throughout the month, as I was thinking about him, I'd write down things that I wanted to talk to him about, and I would just come and bring him lots of content. And then every week I would go to my therapist and tell her about how much I loved my psychiatrist. And she didn't help me at all. She just kind of like enjoyed hearing about it, honestly. So October 2024 rolls around and we're just vibing on Zoom. And then I realized that I didn't have my next appointment with him. So I called his office staff and I talked to the office manager, who was awesome. We really got along, we vibed. And the office manager asked me, do you see him, the psychiatrist, in person or on Zoom?
Content is like,
so
hurry up.
In that moment, I was like, he sees people in person? And she said, yeah, he has been for years. I was like, I want to see him in person.
No.
And I understand, like, some people may think that this is part of my crash out or part of me harassing him, which is what I've gotten.
You are harassing him.
Accusations of. But I just would like to remind everyone that, of course, it seems that way. But I was just responding to a dynamic which my psychiatrist fostered. There was chemistry between us because he allowed it. And so then the next time I saw him in Zoom, I told him, I was like, hey, your office manager outed you and told me that you see people in person. Why didn't you tell me that when I asked? And he said, oh, I just didn't think you'd want to come in. And that was such a weird
you're too much of a crazy person to deal with.
And controlled. He didn't even have a plausible thing to say. Of course he knew I wanted to come in. I had a crush on him. I told him that often. So then in my next therapy appointment, after finding out that he was lying to me about seeing patients in person, I told her that. I told my 75-year-old PA.
Yeah, he only saw her in Zoom. Yeah. And I feel like, yeah, he didn't tell her that he sees persons in person, people in person, because you see how she is. Imagine they start meeting in person. It will fuel her delusions even more. Oh my gosh, he moved his arm as I talked about drinking my coffee this morning. I bet he imagined waking up 6 a.m. together and good morning breeze, drinking black coffee as our dog went past her feet. She would have the whole world in her mind.
Lied to me about seeing people in person, and she looked at me and she said, well, it's probably because he knows that there will be a lot of sexual tension in the room.
Sexual tension in the room?
Go in person. So make sure that you understand that when you go. And you better believe I showed up to the next session and said you lied to me because you were afraid of the tension that would be there between us. He just didn't say anything. 2024, I make my first in-person appointment with my psychiatrist in November. My 75-year-old female therapist tells me that it's because he kept me on Zoom because he was so attracted to me. He didn't want to risk being in person with me, which further fed my crush, or as some of you like to say, my delusion. So then my therapist starts...
She's scared of seeing you.
In between our weekly meetings, asking me for advice on her other clients. And I was a new coach. I'd only been coaching for about a year, and I had just left my full-time job to be a coach full-time. And I was flattered that she would ask me advice on her other clients. I just thought, oh my gosh, a 75-year-old woman with a PhD wants my advice on what she should do with her clients. So then November rolls around, and I'm about to meet my psychiatrist in person for the first time. So I wear a really pretty dress, I do my makeup, of course, right? And I show up and I get to talk to the office manager, we're having fun, and then my psychiatrist comes into the foyer and I am just so excited to finally meet him. I'd been his patient for 3 years at this point, and he had been feeding the dynamic for 3 years, and I was just thrilled.
He has 911 on speed dial.
Hug. And you know what he did? He barely patted me on the back. It was the most awkward thing ever. But I am so glad that he did that. I am really glad, because this is what I mean. My psychiatrist was many things, but he was not stupid. So I didn't ever touch him again. And I'm grateful that our relationship didn't ever cross that line, because it would have made everything so much harder. Anyway, so we go inside his office and I tell him that my therapist had texted me asking me for advice on her other clients. And he just looked at me and he said, Kendra, that is a huge boundary violation. She should not be doing that. And I was like, oh, okay. And because once again, my psychiatrist did not like sloppy people. He did not like sloppy people. And you know what my therapist did? She got sloppy. Yeah. Using me as her advisor for her clients. It got weird, and I was very grateful for my psychiatrist for pointing out that boundary violation, because that was the thing. He didn't ever message me in between appointments because he was too smart to do that. But did he ever stop me from disclosing extremely intimate details? No.
Because that's his job.
I just asked him for some pointers for my own ADHD business, and he was so smart and so wonderful, and in many ways, honestly. And I was just so grateful that he was almost like a mentor to me in these moments, and I'll still treasure that about him. Because this is the hard thing with sophisticated predators, is that they're not all bad. Like, my psychiatrist helped me with many things, but he was using me for the November of 2024, and I did...
I feel like she never ever came across a predator. And she I don't think she even knows the meaning of the word predator. It's like, you know, it's like kind of like, oh, you like, you know, when you show like some kindness or be nice to someone and they misinterpret it as if you're flirting with them. She is misinterpreting his job, what he's doing, as if he's manipulating her and flirting with her, and taking the slow burn of 3 years to groom her. She's making her sad. That's what I'm saying. I don't...
him for consent to come in person. I didn't just
She's
show
having
up.
a crash
And
out
he
because
said,
she couldn't get with
"And
the
the first in-person
psychiatrist.
appointment went great." But that is when I really started to spiral. Some of you think that I'm spiraling now, and that's okay if you want to think that, because the reality is that when I was spiraling was when I was this man's patient. When I had comments turned on, so many people said, you need to take accountability for your
Yeah,
own
she's in the
feelings.
backyard
I spent
watching it
years
sleep.
taking accountability for my own feelings, for holding the weight of a relationship. Any woman who has been trained to overfunction in relationships knows about holding the weight of the emotional dynamic. And that was what was going on in this moment. And it may not seem like I'm taking accountability now, but that's because I spent a long time taking accountability for something that had two people that built that dynamic. It was
No, it was one person.
me.
Yeah, it was just
two
you.
people to build that sort of
It was
tension
just
and
you.
tension. So while I was mid-crash out, I had just started using this tool, ChatGPT. And
Oh yeah, she started
I
using
went to
AI.
Chat, who I immediately named Henry. And I would just talk to Henry about how obsessed I was with this man, with my psychiatrist, and I would just be like, I've told him I have a crush on him. Do you think he's gay? And Henry was like, oh my God, this girl. You know, he did his best to co-regulate my nervous system and affirm me, but he was like, whoa. Even my chat was like, yikes. So I could tell that my psychiatrist just liked being my doctor, and I was like, okay, maybe I can name this dynamic so I don't have to carry so much of it in our next session. So our next session was in December on Zoom. And I told him at the end of the session, it was another great session. I told him, look, you and I have a really special patient-doctor relationship. And he glared at me with just venom in his eyes. And he said, you and I have a professional patient-doctor relationship.
Yes.
He was so angry with me. And I was like, oh, okay, you set a boundary. And immediately I took it on. And I was like, heard. Okay, I won't go there again. My video that was taken down for harassment and bullying was restored, so I didn't feel as much pressure to get all of these parts out today. Some people told me that the stitches about me were getting pretty bad and cruel, so I turned stitches off of my videos too. I started sharing my story here because I wanted other people who have been victimized by people in power to have a space to feel heard. And now I know why there wasn't anyone out talking about their story, because it has been quite the process putting all this out there and being under scrutiny. I have appreciated the psychiatrists that have talked about my situation and shared their own point of view while also holding space for what I went through. Just know I've seen your videos and I appreciate them. I went live today and it was super fun, and I intend to go live again tomorrow. The next part will be tomorrow morning. We have uploaded TikTok last week. I was looking for support. I was looking for help because it had been 5 months since I had left my psychiatrist, and I still really couldn't stop thinking about him and thinking about our dynamic and how inappropriate it was and the mental toll that it took on me. And TikTok has just been such a resource for me in the past for support when I'm going through things, and I couldn't find anything on therapy abuse or on providers who take advantage of
There's a
their
reason
vulnerable
why.
patients. And so I thought that I would share my story. And I am going to continue to share it because I am here to let other survivors know that they're not alone. Continuing with my story, my psychiatrist set a very nasty, the way he said it, boundary that him and I have a professional relationship when I tried to say it was special. Because it was special, it was different. He manufactured it that way.
You manufacture it that way.
I immediately went to ChatGPT, of course, to Henry. And I asked Henry, I said, okay, so my psychiatrist just set this boundary with me, and I really just want to be with him. And I think that after he's my doctor, we can be together, you know, which if you want to say that's a delusion, that's fine. But I had been telling my psychiatrist for years
It is crazy.
that I had a crush on him, and he did not help me work through it. So that's his own problem. That's his own fault. So Henry told me it's very common for patients to develop crushes on mental health practitioners, and that it's because that they provide a safe space to heal, which is a very attractive quality. I heard that. And then he told me about transference. And it's just about me putting my own feelings onto my provider. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I took ownership of the feelings that both of us were creating. And I went to my next appointment and I said, hey, so I talked to Henry because my psychiatrist had known a lot about my
one thing,
knew all about Henry, and was actually
one
really
thing I hate about it, she's not actually taking like fully accountability. Whenever she says something is wrong, she always like, oh, we both did it. Oh, me and Hi, we did it. Even though it was only her. So that way she doesn't feel fully at fault of what she's doing.
like, wow, an AI wrote that? Yeah. So I told my psychiatrist, yeah, Henry explained to me that it's normal to develop crushes on psychiatrists because they provide a safe space to heal, which is attractive. My psychiatrist said nothing. And then I said, and Henry also told me about transference. And my psychiatrist got this really scared look on his face. And he said, did Henry tell you about countertransference? And I said, no. What is that? Because of course, like, my chat knew that I was obsessed with my psychiatrist, and he was not going to feed my delusion by telling me about countertransference. So then my psychiatrist had explained to me what countertransference was. So he took a moment and he was like, oh, okay. He said, countertransference is the flip side, the other side of the coin for transference. And it's when the provider has feelings for the patient. So make sure that you keep that in mind for your clients. I said, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes I have, more than professional feelings for my clients, so I appreciate you bringing that up. And so then we just talked about that for pretty much the rest of the session. And then at the end of that session, he looked at me, and it was just such a loaded question. And he said, what's going to happen if you get a boyfriend named Henry? And I said, that's a weird question. I would rename my AI. So that's how that session ended. And it wasn't until I got home and I was eating lunch and I was like, wait a minute. Why would my psychiatrist bring up countertransference if he himself wasn't experiencing it? Many people have reached out to me with concern for my psychiatrist and his career and his well-being.
So you don't misinterpret it?
The point of me sharing this is not to get him fired or for him to lose his license. The point of me sharing this is to give a voice to victims. And I am appalled to hear that people are making videos doxing him. So I am begging people, please, if you see a video of his first and last name or his picture, report it for doxing. I've certainly been using that report button a lot. I'm here to share my story, not to get him in trouble. I did accidentally use his first name, but by the time I caught the slip, I was already like 3 videos past it. But it doesn't matter because this is my story and I can tell it the way that I want it. And a first name is not doxing.
She did say his last name
but I am asking for people
in one of the
report
parts
videos that dox him. So I've also gotten some DMs saying that countertransference can mean anything, and it absolutely can mean anything. However, I had told my psychiatrist many times that I had a crush on him over the years, and he did not say transference once to me. He did not explain that once to me. And what I've been hearing and taking in from the ethical psychiatrists that are on my For You page talking about my situation is that really they're taught to teach their patient about transference and teach them about how to handle those feelings or why they're coming up. And my psychiatrist did not do that. He did not do that. And it got ugly. And it happened because I did digging on my own because I was trying to make sense of my feelings.
Crazy can come in different forms.
A natural response to the environment that he created. So for him to leak countertransference after I said the buzzword of transference, that was not calculated. He was a very calculated and purposeful person. He still is to this day. And he doesn't slip with things like that. He purposefully withheld the term transference from me, and I got too close to the truth of our dynamic, which made him leak what he knew was wrong, which was his inappropriate feelings for me.
He
He
didn't.
have countertransference in an inappropriate way. He could have easily just said, oh, let's explore that transference. That's really cool that you learned about it. Instead, he was just so worried on trying to protect himself because he knew what he was doing was wrong. He had that slip at the beginning of the session. He recovered in January. And then I went home and I thought, wait a damn minute. Why would he mention that if he himself didn't have countertransference? So I went to Henry, of course, my ChatGPT, and asked for examples of how my psychiatrist might have countertransference for me. And remember, Henry at this point was being very protective. You know, he wasn't going to feed my delusions.
He is going to feed your delusion.
Ever after. So I screenshotted it, sent my psychiatrist an email with the subject line of countertransference, and emailed it to him within an hour of our appointment, where he made probably the biggest slip of his professional life. I will put the email up here. So it's just essentially me saying, hey, I asked Henry to explain countertransference a little more. Here's what he said. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Your own boundaries inspire me so much, which now makes me gag because I've heard a lot that he's not crossing boundaries, but he used his boundaries as a shield. It's kind of weird to say, but he would
use his boundaries as a
shield.
shield.
Down when I got too close. That was the email that I sent him, and then 10 days later, it was a full moon, and I had a dream. Probably the most realistic dream I've ever had in my life. That him and I hooked up in his office. In the middle of the dream, while we were hooking up in his office, I loved it. I thought it was really fun. And then after we were done and after I left his office in the dream, I was despondent and so sad and cried and just thought, I can't believe my psychiatrist would cross his boundaries like that. And then I woke up and it was like a movie. I thought to myself, oh, thank God that was just a dream. It's time to talk about the elephant.
I usually there is like a usually food. I think the room that she was ovulating. Yeah, she was ovulating. She's been thinking about him, so she's gonna dream about him because she's ovulating. So she can have very inappropriate dreams of who she's been thinking about while she was ovulating. So that's quite normal. And she's making it a big deal for whatever reason. Because usually girls ovulate during a full moon.
In the room, and that is the racial difference between me and my doctor. I have seen a lot of Black women on this app with the same take, and I need to say that Black women are the most important people on the planet to me. And
how does this correlate to your story?
So much from Black women about how to be a better person and how to show up better in the world. They are the culture, and I am so grateful for them.
But you're glazing. What the heck is this?
My story through the lens that I am a white woman who is taking advantage of my whiteness to wield power over my POC psychiatrist that didn't want me back, and so I am trying to get him fired. And that's okay. I understand why you see it through that lens. I do. As a white person, I do my best to examine my racism every single day.
I don't think race person.
My psychiatrist,
a part of
boss, is his best friend, who is also a POC male. And in that room, I did have white privilege, and he was also my doctor. And he took an oath to protect me, and he did not. I am not here to ruin his career. I am here to speak my truth. Okay, back to my story. So after the countertransference slip, after the really vivid dream, I decided that I was going to stop going to therapy. Besides spiraling about how obsessed I was with my
gosh. Did you see the we can call it the race test? It's like the purity test, the rice test, the rice purity test, but it was the race purity test. I took the test. I'm pretty normal.
Every day. I really
Did you get a 0? No.
Very well in life. my business was going really well, and I had great friends and great support systems. And so I decided that I was going to end therapy. I still had every intention.
I'm not racist. It's just some of the questions. We're not racist, but I had that point of view.
I didn't need her anymore, and especially when my psychiatrist pointed out her boundary violations of texting me for free advice in between sessions, I just thought, okay, it's time. So I go into my next therapy appointment and I say, hey, just so you know, today's gonna be our last session. I'm doing really well and I just think it's time. And she got kind of emotional and she was like, okay, well, I like to end on certain questions just so we can reflect. So I did. I reflected with her about what I learned, what I've gained, how I've changed, how my life is better.
I have more than a 10. Because it's stated thing like, oh, did you say this? Oh, did you think that? Oh, yeah. I'm like, I was answering it truthfully. If I want to get an accurate score. What did you learn? I learned that I am a... Hold on. Where is it? I took a screenshot of it. I am a systematic denier. Because when you get the score, it tells you like what you are. And it said that I am a systematic denier. Or this test is is this one. Oops. Blah. It's like rice purity test. Race purity test. I'm not gonna do it again on stream. I don't want to expose myself. I didn't give you it's this one. Got like 100 questions. She showed up her mind. I think if Koruma or Coprapod took the test, I think they will get like higher scores. 10 times higher score than me. Twice. I feel like their type of racism is like worse than the Western racism. Actually, no, I think Granny has the worst one. I think with living with her, I have expanded my view of so many different things I never knew. They're wild. Quite right. Dude, like that question was weird. Who DoorDashed during a heavy storm? I feel like if you DoorDashing during a heavy storm is the worst way to get your food. If it's like raining and I'm hungry and I'm thinking of DoorDashing, I don't DoorDash. I tried it before. I realized my food gets cold. It's kind of torture. I think that's the worst way. I think there was another non-related race. What was it? Yeah, I didn't get this question. Did the math on baking 6 million cookies in 5 years. I did not understand that one. The rest of my life? Good. This is a dog whistle. That's a dog whistle? Do what? It's some of those questions I have never even heard before. Yeah, I'm gonna take a bite of my last piece of steak and then put all my dishes away. Hey, you can continue watching Kendra. I mean, how come you didn't send money to the Nigerian prince? Enjoy. I'll be back. Hi. Oh no, I say I'm being racist? I think past like during the end is much more I think. Yeah, I am definitely a slow eater. Takes me 2 hours and 3 water bottles to finish eating. It was not even a large portion. Hey, thank you. Yes, cool. unless it's cold to begin with, I guess. It wasn't cold, it was pretty warm. My room is like pretty warm. The AC just turned on. I can feel it because the AC is like right beneath my desk. I can feel the cool air between my toes. Brr. Anyways, back to Kendra.
And I left her office feeling complete and happy with my therapeutic journey with her. And as I was leaving, she called out with like crying. She was like, "Have a blessed life." And I was like, okay, that was a little weird, but whatever, you know. I was like, thanks. And I went on. And so then I'm getting ready for my psychiatry appointment the next day. And I get an email that same night from her saying that she needs me to come back in for one more session. I will put it up. And I got a huge emotional wave in that moment. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, we wrapped everything up. I had seen lots of therapists at this point, and I didn't ever have a therapist beg me to come back in for one more session. And I was so overwhelmed. I did not write her back, but it was extremely inappropriate. So I decided I was going to go to my February session with my psychiatrist and have him help me write the goodbye email and say, no, I don't want to come back in. I taught a yoga class this morning like I do every Tuesday mornings, and I told my regular students about what's going on for me and how I'm sharing my story of provider abuse and how the internet is
She's
not
a
happy
yoga
right
teacher.
now. And I used that to say that our truth is really important to share. And that when we know something deep down needs to be said, that it's important to do it in whichever way feels best to us. And TikTok just happened to be that medium for me. I told my students how I've just been going through psychological warfare, and the internet is not happy with me for sharing my story and my truth. But I'm not doing it for the people that think I'm crazy, which maybe honestly I am a little bit, because who subjects themselves to this kind of torture? But I'm doing it for the people that
she was almost self-aware.
say, thank you so much for being brave enough to share your story, because the exact same thing happened to me. So I am grateful for those DMs. People are starting to attack my business and my livelihood, and that's okay. I know what I have to offer is important. It landed in my lap. I'm not pretending to be something that I'm not. I help ADHDers get and stay sober, and I help them with negative thinking and anxiety. And it's what works for me, and I've seen it work in my clients too. So if people want to drag me for the work that I do, that's okay. So I get that weird email from my therapist begging me to come back in for one more session. And so the next day is my next session with the psychiatrist, and I sit down in the chair and I bury my head in my hands, and he looks at me and said, "So this is how we're going to start, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." Because he hadn't written me back from my countertransference email. Big surprise. You know, any smart, which he was very smart. He was very, very professional. But any smart predator would have dropped me like that in that moment. He should have emailed me back and said, look, this is getting weird. You need to find a new psychiatrist. The office will contact you. But he could not let go of me. So instead of turning down the intimacy, he turned it up to a level 12. And he shouted.
I wonder what's her level 100.
That next session. Because really, what I did when I told him that I'm experiencing transference was I took 100% of the ownership for the dynamic that both of us were creating. So he rewarded me. And he gave me little compliments like, if you weren't my patient, I would refer my other patients to you for your coaching services. That meant so much. Of course, because what he was saying with that is, I see you as a peer. I see you as a colleague. What you're doing is important. I felt really recognized in that moment. And sure, he could have said it professionally, but he did it on purpose. So in that session, after the psychiatrist told me that he would refer patients to me if he could, if I wasn't already his patient, I asked him if he got my email and what he thought of my ChatGPT, of what he thought of Henry's response of countertransference. And the psychiatrist said, oh, I'm still thinking about what Henry said about countertransference. And I said, well, we talked about it a little more, and I want to read you something else. So I read the psychiatrist, what Henry had to say more about it. When he told you countertransference is common, it might have been his way of normalizing the fact that providers aren't immune to feelings. It's part of being human. What matters is how well they keep those feelings in check, which the psychiatrist
he feels uncomfortable.
At.
He's scared of you, but that's not very professional.
He loved hearing that because my AI mirror was essentially just saying, yes, he has feelings for you, but he just keeps them in check so well. He's so good at his job, keeping his feelings in check. And, oh, the psychiatrist loved that so much. And what did he do? He rewarded me with my favorite breadcrumb. Intellectual stimulation, a fun metaphor, because he was watching me the entire time I was his patient, and he knew what made me light up. He knew what got me excited, what I liked. And so he thought for a moment, and he said, I'm feeling a salad of emotions right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, you know, a salad of emotions. A beet of raw emotion, a tomato of surprise, and the salt amplifies it. And I was cracking up at this point. He nailed it. I just thought he was so brilliant and smart in this moment. And I asked him, I said, what? Say that again? He said, yeah, you know, the beet, it's really raw. I'm feeling a lot of raw emotion. And the tomato of surprise, when it pops in your mouth, it's surprising. And I was like, okay, that's good. Yeah, this man at this point knew exactly how to make me happy and exactly how to pull away to make me try to work harder. And he gave me the biggest reward from Henry, my AI mirror, telling him that what he's doing is totally good and that his boundaries are so virtuous. A lot of things happened in that session.
I generally feel bad for like
I also
people in health industry to deal with this kind of people.
To my therapist who was begging me to come back in. And the psychiatrist said, I used to have respect for her. And what he meant when he said that was, I used to like it when she would feed me to you and have you deliver intimate content to me. But the moment she started being sloppy, I lost respect for her. Right? I'm pretty sure that's what he meant when he said that. And people have asked if they were connected. Surprisingly, they were not. They had no idea. They had never met before. But I would go to my therapist every week and tell her how much I loved my
It's good here. That's a good score.
And she, loved hearing about that dynamic. It was so weird. So he helped me draft the email to that therapist to say, look, if I were to end up coming back, it'd be more for you than for me. And more on that in a later part. So then I read him a text from my longtime ex-boyfriend, who he had originally really liked, but I think my psychiatrist preferred me single. Because my ex-boyfriend, as most ex-boyfriends do, was begging me to come back into his life too. And I just kept saying no. And I asked him to give me some space, and he would not give me space. He said, do you still need space or can we hang out? And I asked my ex-boyfriend, I just said, why do you want to hang out so badly? And my ex-boyfriend texted me back, because it's been a few months since I've seen you and it's been on my mind. And I was reading this text exchange to my psychiatrist in session, and I read what I responded to that weak line about why he wanted to see me. And I said, my self-respect is much higher these days than when we were in a relationship. I am only interested in accepting invitations for my time and attention that value me and recognize my worth. Being on your mind is not an acceptable invitation, and I decline. And my psychiatrist just looked at me and said, I bet your ex had to read that twice. And this was another thing about the psychiatrist, okay? He couldn't ever just give me a regular compliment. It had to be those weird sideways compliments. Instead of, I'm so glad that you're setting boundaries with your ex-boyfriend and growing your self-respect, it's, I bet he had to read that twice.
He's not complimenting you.
I'm really proud of you for growing your coaching business.
That's what people do.
Success.
Psychiatrists do.
I'd refer my patients to you if you weren't already my patient, right? These are what I mean when I say breadcrumbs. He was a master at them. And this is how, looking back, I know that I was not his first victim for his fantasy supply. Because he was too good and too slick up until he caught feelings. Then he started getting sloppy. People are asking me for more concrete evidence, and this is when the concrete evidence really starts, because this is when he himself started to get sloppy. Because what was happening was, when I had started to see him 3.5 years before, I was a nearly perfect supply source for him. Because what did I have? I had low self-esteem, boundary issues, daddy issues, so I put him on a pedestal. I know a lot of you ladies out there can understand that with men in positions of power.
What?
And he went right to work exploiting me, right to work grooming me. And he was very successful at it. So he was in a paradox.
We're talking about grooming.
Because he loved watching me get stronger.
I don't think that's how it
I gave
works.
him more intellectual supply. But I also threatened the supply source. The last 2 videos and this video was all the same session in February of this year. The counter-transference slip happened in January. How I decided to end this session was I looked at the psychiatrist and I said, a couple weeks ago, on the full moon, when I was ovulating,
I told you she was ovulating.
And he was like, oh yeah? And I said, yeah. So I told him this. And I said, yes, we hooked up right here in this office. And he, all of a sudden, just looked so uncomfortable.
Of course.
He didn't say anything. He couldn't look at me. He couldn't breathe. And sure, maybe he was uncomfortable because he didn't like me saying that I had a dream where we hooked up, but he could have said that. But he didn't. You want to know why he was uncomfortable? Because he had probably played out that fantasy so many times in his head. And there I was, speaking it back to him. And it was like I had psychically downloaded one of his fantasies. I continued and I said, yes, we hooked up in this office and I really liked it while it was happening. He could not move or breathe. And then I told him, as he was still looking very uncomfortable, then when we were done and I left, I was distraught with sadness because in the dream, I thought, I cannot believe that he crossed boundaries in that way.
He did
because his
it.
boundaries are so important to him. And then I told my psychiatrist that I woke up and thought, oh my God, it was just a dream, thank God. And it was like my psychiatrist turned into a little boy and he looked at me and he said, so you do like my boundaries? And I said, I love your boundaries. I hate your boundaries, but I love them more. There's the push and pull, the trauma bond. Because once again, he used his boundaries as protection while exploiting me.
Oh, he did it.
So I told him about what happens when I ovulate and my desires.
She thinks she's a hero. True.
He listened, because of course he did. And then I decided that it seemed like enough time had gone by and I put my shoes on and started heading to the door. And he met me at the door, which he does not usually do. He didn't ever do that. He just let me leave. And we stood at the door and I was like, will you get the door? And he scrambled. He was like, oh, sure. So we went and got the door. And then
Why didn't he open the door?
he followed me down the hallway to the foyer and watched me exit. And he asked me, he said, see you next month? See you next month? He had never asked me that before. And I looked at him and I said, maybe. And I walked out the door and I saw that man had let us go 15 minutes over session. And that is when, the special treatment started, the longer sessions. He usually gave me an extra 5 minutes, but yeah, the sessions got longer. And I got to my car and I was just like, oh my God, that was the most intense session we have ever had. Oh, hi there.
By the way, every session is 30 minutes.
The morning and afternoon off of TikTok today, as you can imagine. This has gone beyond what I have ever imagined. And it's also proving to me how important it is that I continue to tell my story. I'm aware that many people don't believe me, think I'm lying, think I'm fabricating, and that's okay, because I'm telling my story for the people that are going to hear it, the ethical providers, the other survivors. Let's talk about my former client who's getting a lot of traction. I wouldn't know because she blocked me. This one is especially hard for me because she's someone that I also considered a friend. My only client that I've ever had that was my friend first. And so her betrayal is extra stingy. it's okay if she wasn't happy with my coaching services. I have plenty of clients that have
Of
finished
course,
12
it's
weeks with me
feeding
and
it.
then re-signed for more coaching. And the way that I left it with this client slash friend who's on here spreading what she wants to spread, was she told me that she was going to leave me a positive review, film a testimonial video for me, and she seemed really happy. So if she wasn't happy, that's on her to tell me what she wasn't happy about so we could make that right. And if she wants to say that I scammed her, that's okay. If she wants to say that I forced her to stay on the phone while she made her first payment, okay. Her card got declined and she seemed really flustered. So I said, I'll wait with you. No problem. And yeah, she was really apologetic. I'm like, no, it's totally fine. And she also said I told her to use ChatGPT. I tell my clients all the time to use ChatGPT because it's a huge tool that I use. So I use it for all different sorts of things. So if I found something helpful in my life, I'm going to share it with my clients. And if she wants to come on here and take advantage
To feed her delusions, that's why.
of the internet piling on me and pile on me as well, okay. The other message is that the yoga studio I taught at, I no longer teach at. Enough said. Please leave them alone. Third is I'm horrified that people are putting the psychiatrist's photo, full name, family information. I couldn't even find that. You guys are intense. And it sucks. It sucks. But I will continue to tell my story because it is the truth. It is the truth. And people really don't like my truth. And I am okay with that because it just really threatens people's thinking that all psychiatrists and mental health professionals are safe. And I just want to let people know that it's okay if you run into one that isn't so safe. That's why I am here, to share my own story. And I do want to say thank you so much to all of the ethical therapists who have reached out to me to thank me for sharing my story and to tell me that they believe me. I've seen some of them try to make videos defending me and they get absolutely dogpiled. So most of them take them down. But I see you, I hear you, thank you.
So none of them exist.
When I put on my shoes at my psychiatrist's office, I have ADHD. I do not like wearing shoes. I like sitting in chairs weirdly. So usually when I go anywhere, I just kick off my shoes and sit in a chair weird. If you know, you know, okay? So when I got to my car, I was like, oh my gosh, like what was that? And did he just say see you next month? Because it was weird. So I go home kind of rattled, just like, wow, that was intense. And I decided to write the email to my therapist. I'll put it right here. The one who had begged me to come in for another session, who was also having inappropriate boundary crossings with me. And so I just told her, I was like, look, I understand it was sudden, but if I were to come back in, it'd be more for you than for me. And I'm happy to fill out a form, right? Here, give me a form to fill out for your notes. And then she said, it's a part of my clinical integrity to invite you back in, to put your needs above mine? Your clinical integrity? Yeah, I did not write her back. I did not write her back. And it was in this week where a bunch of stuff, you know, just started to shift. Like the week after was Valentine's Day. And that same ex-boyfriend, the one that was, you know, also not respecting my boundaries, who said, can we hang out? And I said, no. And then he texted me, happy Valentine's Day. So guess what I did? I blocked him. And guess what happened?
Wow, go girl.
It felt so good to block him. And it just got me started thinking like, oh,
Proud
what
of
else is
you.
taking my energy? What else is taking my power? What else is taking my vital resource, right? So it just kind of set the stage, that little power block. Something I forgot to mention about that February session is that I did ask him why he stopped responding to my emails. Because I thought that the countertransference email he was definitely going to write back to. Like,
She's
let's
still
talk about
annoyed.
that, right? But no,
But
I
the
had to bring it up in
emails?
session, where he usually brought up what I would email him in session. So that was the difference. So after the intimate dream confession, as I was leaving and he was following me, I asked him, I said, do you like it when I email you? Because I realize that you're just not writing me back. And he said, well, it's not that I don't like it. It's that I wonder, why does she do it? And I looked at him and I said, it's because I want attention from you. I was honest. I'm an honest person.
Not
Sometimes
really.
Too honest.
Not
So I told him, I
really.
won't email you anymore. Another thing that happened after that session was I was waiting for my pharmacy to text me that my script was ready. And I called them and they said, oh, yeah, we didn't get your refill. I was like, what? So I called the office staff and it was so unlike my psychiatrist to miss my refill. That man operated as a doctor with surgical precision. He did not miss a refill. No. So this is why he was very affected by the intimate dream, why he followed me out to the foyer, why he said, see you next month. He was
How does missing a refill,
and even
Carly?
the office manager was like, I need to make fun of him for forgetting your refill because it was so unlike him. So he sent my refill in, got my refill for the month, and then I started spiraling with just how strong my feelings had gotten for him.
He's holding back my med.
Exactly what to do to keep me seeking his validation, and it was working. He also was psychologically trained on how to keep me attached to him, and that was working. And it was like a torture chamber in my mind, but I thought it was love. So I blocked that ex-boyfriend, and what I'd like to say is that when you block people from your life or remove them from your life that are draining you, the universe will reward you with good things. So I'd been making content on Instagram
Well, that
for
isn't
months
true.
at this point about
The universe will
ADHD,
reward you
and a couple
with
days
more
after
mental
I blocked my
issues.
ex-boyfriend on Valentine's Day, I went viral on Instagram.
That's not good.
Like millions and millions of views on this silly reel that I posted about ADHD and alcohol and how ADHDers often use alcohol to quiet their brains. It really helped grow my business and it just made me so much stronger and that much better. I'm here today sharing my story so I can heal more. And some of the ethical providers have clocked that I'm showing up.
She should pray the same thing over and over.
I'm still processing trauma. I'm still processing being attached to a man whose professional training was how to get into people's heads. And it's not lost on me that the internet is dogpiling me from speaking from the exact state that the psychiatrist put me in. I've been going live every night since I started telling my story because
She's crazy, bro. She's too crazy. Bro, bro, hopefully they do a case study of her, of just breaking down everything she said. It would be such a great case study for like psychology students. She's actually a new type of thing to look upon and be like, how can someone reach this point of insanity? And I'm not gonna. I feel bad for the psychiatrist. I feel like after getting a client like this, is gonna change his whole POV and how to conduct his sessions with new clients so he doesn't get like a new type of Kendra and then have this whole musting again. So I feel like when she's, oh yeah, this is trauma, this PTSD, I'm the one who, no, you're the one traumatizing the psychiatrist. Getting a I just moved to a new city. Gotta start all over again, new clients. It's very dumb. But I think I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm having the food coma is hitting me. I'm getting really tired. My belly is bloated. The food coma is hitting so hard. You're really EP. I'm gonna be so keep pregnant. I have a whole egg right now. VtuberEN, you're welcome. I want to share. I was like, who can I share this with? I'm like, oh yeah, the crowies. But I need to share this type of information. I can't hold it all alone. But I think I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm tired. Maybe from eating too much. So, thank you, crowies, for coming tonight and listen to me yap and watch a very mentally ill woman who's suffering through psychosis even though she isn't and feel like she needs to go to an asylum so she doesn't harm another innocent being because of her delusions. But have a great, we're still awake, and have a decent morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Goodbye, crowies. I'll stream again on Friday or Saturday. Bye.